Right, that's it. Just
bait someone into the Dharma. Get them money.
right, too soon.
It's all about followers and money. Don't worry, I'll soon be dead. So, lighting. Try to get the best lighting as possible. Sitting here, not too bad. I think it's probably a bit better. Okay. I think in essence, I want to meet up more because people want to getting more into the Dharma. And traditionally, in the Shedra, in the tantric colleges, and it's intense study for 6 years, or 6 years longer. Going through all the stages of the path, learning Tummo, learning the practices, lots of meditation, and then going for, say, 3-year retreat. The Dharma is the heart of your life. That life is spiritual. That's the point, isn't it? It's like everyone's on a spiritual journey. That's like emphasized very strongly in the Sufi language. We're not just we're not accidents. We're not suddenly. Everything is a spiritual journey and everything's interconnected. As we start to get deeper into the Dharma, you want to go deeper. The Dharma is nectar. And you have, in the beginning, you can have sometimes special feelings. Like you pick up a Dharma book. It's like, you can't even describe it. It's like I was listening to Rory McIlroy. It's a great interview with him. And they're talking about the flow state. And the things trying to do to get into the flow state, trying hypnosis, and people try meditation. He's gone, you can't do it. You can't even be too aware that you're in it, because that'll take you out of it. These special feelings arise, like in the Dharma, it's like flow state. That feeling, and you sense something. When you listen to or come into a Dharma talk, you just sit and you just feel this unnameable joy. What is it? What's that? I know. I've just been told by some of my Dharma friends, you just treasure that feeling. But as you go deeper into the Dharma, like a good golfer, it happens more and more. Like this exquisite joy about that which can't be talked about, really. But just talking about it and knowing you're in an environment just gives you this incredible feeling. That's one of the reasons for meeting up. And the Wednesday classes are good for going through deliberately the stages of the path. I wanted more time to just, improvise a bit more. I like improvise and give transmissions of certain texts when I feel like it. Ideally, if we did all live together and we were all doing Dharma, then it's just as I feel it, just what I'm doing, and then want to feel it wants to get shared. Programming what's going to be happening in your mind is madness, really. So on one sense, we do go through the path, and it's important to do that. But another sense, it's a spontaneous arising to who you are, and allowing what comes in, through any teacher, to respond in the moment to who you are and what's happening. And it's nice to have that as well, and not too fixed. In our tradition, trying to name the tradition, spent like the last few days just trying to name it. So we're going to go from the People's Front of Judea to the Judean People's Front, okay? And essentially, that's what people can get worked up about. That's why Life of Brian's so funny. And a time for questions, and talk more than that, and a time to ask anything. And I prefer the Wednesday we talk about our practice and what we're doing, but then a time where you can just kind of ask anything. I think called this preparing for Vajrayogini, because some of the steps are important. And I've mentioned this analogy many times, but it's the best. That's for me. That's why I use it. That Dzogchen is you can do anything you like. And that's what we want. That's what we want. Now, so as a musician, you want to play with other musicians who are good. Do you not? Or what's your thing? Most people can play music now. Amazing thing. Do you want to play with people who can play properly? Or would you prefer some punk who knows 3 chords and just does what he likes? Which one would you prefer? You want to be able to play with someone who can play, right? You don't want it to be too rigid. You want to play. Play music, don't it? We don't work out music, because classical music's like more of like a workout. So if you have some punk who can't play, but he says, I want to play with it, you have to learn. Why? So you can do anything you like. If you continuously getting your instrument and having to do to rigid learning structures, you probably still enjoy it. I'm sure musicians still kind of enjoy going through their scales. But it's just to keep the fingers limber, isn't it? We want to play. That's Dzogchen. That's our general approach. So if you get too obsessive about learning, it leans into the classical side where they can't improvise. They're too tight. So even though we're learning, and even though you do have 3 chords, you can still do something, right? All you need is a guitar, 3 chords, and the truth. As famously said, you can still do something. You just can't do much. But when you've learned the 3 chords, then you want to play. Then it's like, do them in your own sequence. Go A, D, G, then D, G, A. And then I'll try and do something over the top of it. Yeah. So you need that balance of what you've learned to let go and play with it as you're learning. So it's this combination. Let me tell you, let me get the name. Oh, here we go. Currently, the name is Harmony of the Way, is a non-duality meditation school of the Nyingma and Universal Awakening traditions. It's still perhaps a bit too long-winded, but I don't want to use the word Buddhism. Buddha literally means awakened, the awakened one. So awakening, a Buddhist is a meaningless word kind of thing. It's like the awakening tradition is a Buddhist tradition. So it's getting rid of, as much as we can, the kind of culture and into English language. It has meaning for us. Yeah, but it still has some impact for people. Like if you say awakening, it's kind of abstract, where Buddhism means something to someone. But then you have people call you a Buddhist, and we're not that. Never call yourself a Buddhist. But so we understand we're using it as a means to communicate with people. People have ideas about Buddhism. It's got nothing to do with Buddhism, right? But we can use it. So it can be fun to use a name. But if we don't have a name, people can't relate to you. You can't, identifying is important for communication, for people who identify. Yeah. I know trans people, it's very important that they can identify in the way they want to identify. The identification as we go into emptiness is completely meaningless. But as a human being, it's very important. So if you see, maybe I'll use the word Buddhism, maybe not. It's nice to use the word and have, we know the hidden meaning that doesn't mean anything to do with being a Buddhist. People could never understand me when I said I was a monk of Buddhism. And they'd say, oh, so you're a Buddhist monk? I went, no. But how can you say no? So you figure it out. But I never identified as a Buddhist. I think I did once, but it just didn't feel right. So the head of the Kagyu lineage, the head of the meditation department, we can say, the Kalu Rinpoche, beautiful quote, said, don't call yourself a Buddhist. Don't be a Buddhist. Don't be an it. Don't be. But he's part of the Kagyu Buddhist tradition. But he's not a Buddhist. This is very important. It's just if I meet someone, I used to not say Scotland when they say, where are you from? From planet Earth. Even then, there's like a little addendum. I got probably. I can't remember being born. So I'm just presuming that my mum didn't lie. And I didn't land from outer space. It's just a presumption. But when you go through this nice phase of going, well, yeah, it's absurd to call yourself Scottish, it's just something you just made up, then you just use it as language. And you don't want to be too reactionary, because if you can't use the word Scottish and you go, no, I'm just a human, then there's too much of a reaction. You need to watch that. So you be careful of any masters who can't use the word I. Yeah, it shows that they're still struggling with it. Otherwise, why not use it? Not using the word I can be part of your training, but not the finished product. Yeah, so we can come up with a name for the school. And I think it's important to explain it, that you're not a Buddhist. If we say it's just for people to get a grip on what we're doing. But the main tradition that I trained in is the Buddhist methodology. probably thinking should probably do a little prayer before, just for me, before we continue with the class. I've just had a coffee, so we're getting revved up. And the movement class worked for me. I got some energy, so I only had 3 hours sleep last night. I feel all right. But if, Baron, have you got your Spotify up? Ready to go? Music? Just play the 7-line prayer, please.
Pema Yansen Chogi Nutrup Yi Pema Jongi Jesudra Kordo Kandro Mangpe Kor Keki Jesu Daktrup Gi Jinki Lapchir Shek Susol Guru Pema Seri Orgen Yogi Nyumjang Sam Pema Gesa Dongpola Yansen Chogi Nutrup Yi Pema Jongi Jesudra Kordo Kandro Mangpe Kor Keki Jesu Daktrup Gi Jingi Lapchir Shek Susol Guru Pema Seri Orgen Yogi Nyumjang Sam Pema Gesa Dongpola Yansen Chogi Nutrup Yi Pema Jongi Jesudra Kordo Kandro Mangpe Kor Keki Jesu Daktrup Gi Jingi Lapchir Shek Susol Guru Pema Seri
Your sound's off. No.
There we go. Anyone still hear me? Tech genius. That's what happens. You get tech like miracle powers and that. You practice the Dharma. So does anybody have any questions about the sprath and naming? Yeah. Dzogchen's a lot looser. The Nyingma tradition's a lot looser. Generally like transmitted through families and small tribes, and it changed over time when the what the equivalency is of the Gelugpas, probably like the Catholic Church. Started getting big buildings. Yeah, lots of followers, and then like lots of competition with who's got the most followers and all the rest of it. But there's just like a lot of wandering yogis in Tibet. That's more like the Nyingma tradition, but they started to systemize a bit more. Dzogchen's like wandering yogis are like they'll just come and maybe transmit a text, give a teaching, then they're off again, and then you maybe see them once a month and talk about your practice. They'll give you a practice, then you go off and practice it, and then give you another practice dependent on what difficulties you're going through. Yeah, if you're going through health difficulties, then you'll practice medicine Buddha. If you're needing love, then practice Tara Sadhana. If you're just able to observe thoughts coming up, then you focus on the Dzogchen. If you start losing that ability, go back to a sadhana. If you can't do that, then here's some preliminary practices, each individually to what they need, which can be too loose for a lot of people. So we're trying to get a combination of the two. That's what we're talking about. So we called this preparing for Vajrayogini. I'd probably say it's still quite important for us having friends, sex, food, partying. Is that, am I way off base? That kind of touches influences your day and what you get up to. Yeah, does it appeal to you to rest in presence and have no sense of personal identity? Yeah. I want you to just get a sense of that. You're never thinking about your past. Like never. Don't the school days, or remember that? That's gone. You're not interested. You're never thinking about the future and, I can't wait to go on holiday to Spain and get into the sun and I could meditate in the mountains, and you're never thinking about the future. It's like, I can't wait to hang out with so-and-so and chat about this. You're never thinking about friends. You're just resting in presence. You've no interest in anything you used to be in your personal self. Does that interest you more than food, sex, playing, parties, and being someone? If the first one interests you more, you don't need to do Vajrayogini. You just stick with Dzogchen completely and you're fine, right? But if these other things still interest you, then Vajrayogini is the way to use that. Yeah. So we enjoy food more. And we enjoy sex more. And we enjoy everything more. And we use that as the path. We use the desire, the energy, to then go into that space. Fun, fun, fun. Playtime. It's more like, you could say Dzogchen's when you've just done the gig and you're like, that was a good gig. Now it's like, you know that feeling? As musicians, what they don't tell you, but really still never notice it coming up. It's like moving gear. Maybe it's the internet generation. You just don't need to move in front of your laptop. But if you want to make it before, you have to move gear. You have to set up the drums, poor drummers. You have to move amps. I used to despise moving amps. You've just done a gig, you're absolutely exhausted. Yeah, people yakking at you, and you're just exhausted, and you've got to move big, heavy gear. When that's over, then it's like, that's like Dzogchen. Vajrayogini practice like doing the gig. Woo-hoo! And the prep, the other practices getting ready is like, jamming, learning the songs, which for many people is the best part. Some people, the gig's the best part. And for some people, when it's over, is the best part. You kind of get a sense of what you like. Like for some people, learning is just such a joy. And doing discipline and having a discipline and practicing, it's such a joy. Some people don't like it, they just want to get into the tantric side, partying and just, moving the bliss and doing the practices. And then say for others, it's The real bliss is you don't exist. Yeah. Finally, I'm not there. So, Vajrayogini is like non-serious playtime. And emphasize it enough. And the preparatory practices are so we can play. So it's just always a question of, can you play? And as I said before, we can play for a limited amount of time. So you have to balance up yourself and know how much you want to learn before you really let go into play. And if you're very wise, as I say, you make the learning part of your play. Isn't it? Whereas if you're just learning the yoga moves so you can be a yoga teacher, it's not so enjoyable. And you become a lesser teacher because you couldn't enjoy the journey, which is the main thing. So a lot of people do preliminary practice to get to the main stage, and then they miss. So we want to enjoy the preliminary practice, understanding they are actually part of being able to play. And you'll understand them even more enjoyably when you play. When you learn the scales, when you learn the blues scale, and then you jam the blues, you so appreciate it. It gives you confidence in jamming the blues. And it makes you understand when people go off scale deliberately, what they're doing and why they're doing it, and how beautiful it is to go off scale. Yeah. So the more you kind of disciplined you are in practice, the more you can understand and appreciate Chogyam Trungpa and Osho when they go off scale. If you don't know the music, then they're just dodgy. And as Osho said, that's deliberate to put people off who don't know the scales, for them going off scale. Then it's just bad behavior. It's like, great, go away. You're still judging wrong or right. And as we learned on Wednesday from the Buddha and Rumi, you have to go beyond wrong or right to understand the Dharma, because they're just conceptual judgments. So the classic preparations that we want in our mind is bodhicitta. So it's the pure mind of love. It's the king of love. It's the, you'll do anything for anyone forever. That's bodhicitta. Everything you do is to awaken so you can help others forever. So you imagine you move into you leave this body, you die, and you want to go into a body and state of consciousness so you can always help. You understand the nature of the abode, and you help people stop suffering. Because they are you. This is the main prep. That mind. As you go into it deeper and deeper, I just want to free all beings from suffering. I could just weep. And whenever you see someone, you light up. How can I help? How can I relieve their suffering and make them feel happy? deeper and deeper and stronger, this feeling of how. It's like a burning sensation. How? By becoming enlightened. How? Not just a vague idea or a vague sense. How do you do it? Vajrayogini. It's like, this is, now I'm doing it. Now, go into that mind of love of just one person. Someone you really, really love. And let's say they've got cancer. You think how amazing it would be if I could cure them of cancer. And then you meet a doctor who says, I can cure people of cancer. But you've got to really want it. Then you see that he's cured. You look at his history and he's cured hundreds of people of cancer. How would you feel studying under him, knowing you're going to cure this person you love of cancer? Would it be hard to get up in the morning? Would you be like, oh, what's he going on about today? We talked about that yesterday. Oh, I just feel like some cake. Is that the mind you'd have? And then he's getting, you've spent all your money getting there. You have to go to some remote island in Thailand. You have to put the effort in to go there. That journey, is it painful? Oh God. I just want to be at home watching Netflix. You're like, can't wait to get there. Just like, and then as you're learning it, and it's going, this is how you do it. This is how you cure the cancer. You put this chemical here, and you put this here. You put that. Would you be falling asleep? This is boring. And then when you go back and you got the cure for cancer, how do you feel? And then when you start engaging in the medicine with this person you love, and you know what's happening. They can't, it's too subtle for them to notice in the beginning, but you know the signs they're getting better. How do you feel? Unhappy or joyful mind? So imagine that times infinity. Maybe that's too much. Imagine that times 7 billion people, planet Earth. Never mind the animals and the insects. So when we practice in Dzogchen, Vajrayogini, this is how. And we are the medicine. Yeah. So as we do it, we're the cure. And that joy of bodhicitta, that wish, it turns into bliss. That this is, I'm doing it now. So in the beginning, we simply imagine it. Just as you did just now, you just imagine what it'd be like to, imagine it. You just imagine I'm enlightened and I'm just helping every being all the time. And the main how of it is for you to be blissed out of your mind and free from all suffering. That's the cure. You being utterly, purely happy in every moment of your life, in all situations. Yeah, there's no more trauma. You're not relating to trauma anymore. My trauma self, or, the legacy leave it behind. I'll leave a legacy behind for my children. It's just. And there's no more of that personal, painful garbage. I am enlightened. I am problem-free. This is the engaged bodhicitta. It's your moral duty to enjoy everything. Yeah. Incredible. Playtime. For many of us, it's just inconceivable. So we need to prepare the mind, prepare this extraordinarily negative self-image to eradicate it. And really, it takes a long time to understand that you've got to relate to yourself as God. As a perfect being. Which can be, you can sense that could be dangerous, right? You're relating to yourself as faultless. Perfect being, enjoys everything, no problems. In Dzogchen, I talk about balancing the earth and the sky. So it's knowing how to be grounded in this abode with people and relate to yourself like that. That's an art form. In the Gelugpa presentation, when maybe some of you have done the offering to the spiritual guide, but the symbolic imagery is the guru as a monk. The outer form is the monk, Lama Tsongkhapa. In his heart is Buddha Shakyamuni, representing bodhicitta and the bodhisattva vows. And in his heart is Vajradhara in union with Samantabhadra. Samantabhadra is interchangeable. Representing that you're in bliss. And all three are one. And on the outer aspect is just a simple monk. Yeah, you just appear as a simple human being who doesn't lie, doesn't cheat, doesn't steal, doesn't kill. Keep to yourself. Engage in meditation practice. Don't leave a carbon footprint. That's the latest. It's a good term for what the Buddha's like. You don't leave a carbon footprint. You touch on the world lightly. So when people see you, they just see someone, you could maybe even be symbolically called shy. Yes, simple, don't speak too much, don't impose. Inwardly, your heart is just, how can I help? How can I help? How can I help them? How can I give? Yeah, you're a bodhisattva. That's your motivation, but you're not displaying it. Secretly within that, You're relating to everyone as a Buddha, and you're in a Pure Land, and it's all bliss. Those three together. It can take a while to be able to play like that. But that's their presentation, the Gelugpas and their monks. So some people say being a monk and practicing Tantra is just almost impossible. Yeah, being celibate and practicing Tantra, it's like, it was a bad idea. So fortunately, none of us are celibate. And in Tantra, one of the main practices is having a partner and having sex, and using sex as a way to get the energy and go into those spaces. And some of the tantric yogis, they take Tantra as the starting point, and they're wild. But you could see that could, if you're not getting it right, that could be dangerous. Does anybody understand that could be dangerous? Does everybody understand that? That your ego could quite easily grasp hold of that, and you could just become a really obnoxious person, yeah, who can't listen to anyone, and they're just after pleasure, and yeah, become quite a disagreeable, self-absorbed, indulgent lunatic. So it's over time, over years, we're going to learn how to go in and out of those realms. My understanding or approach is just we learn let's call it the Vinaya, the monk level, the simple life, the renunciation way, where we learn it, practice it. We learn the bodhicitta, the bodhisattva way. We practice it, and then when we go into Tantra, we want to go into it without having to worry about whether you look like being a monk or not, or a nun. You actually want to be able to play, so it's not in secret. So the monks have to do it in secret, because people don't understand. It's like the tantric levels. Like if they don't understand, it's like, well, so what? It's not like people understand anything, is it? Do you know what I mean? It's like you can be too careful. Now, one of my lamas is ultra conservative. Like I've never met anyone more conservative. I can't think of, I could maybe go back to school, and then maybe when I was listening to Rory McIlroy, he's getting interested in ayahuasca and mushrooms, but it's like, I can't take any because I'm a professional athlete, but I'm very curious, interested in like the healing, and the more I read, I watch Joe Rogan and things like that, and like I'm really interested, but I can't take it. I'm a professional athlete, and I've never taken it before. That's still less conservative than some of the lamas that I have. At that level of conservatism, it's still like, just take the empowerment, because you can't get the teachings unless you've had the empowerment. So it's still conservative, that you can't have it, you can't do it unless you do that. You're not allowed. Treating you like you're a Tibetan peasant who hasn't had an education. It's like, no, I'm not a Tibetan peasant who hasn't had an education. I can understand words and I understand what you're saying. But the important thing is still to take the empowerment. So we can take the Vajrayogini empowerment with the intention to practice it properly later. And we can have the intention to take on the vows later. I think, from my experience with people, It's important that we don't take on the vows as a promise yet, because we get so tight and we misunderstand these words as if there's a moral judge judging us breaking these vows, as if God is a person and he's judging us. Oh, you broke. The vows are much more like, I've got to get up. I've got to do this. I've got to get up and I've got to take my pills for my stomach before at breakfast. It's commitment. If I don't, I suffer. It's not like, oh no, I'm such a bad person. I'm like, shit, I forgot to take them. Like that. That's how our vows and commitments are for. It's a commitment to our own enlightenment. What's enlightenment? It's you. It's not getting a badge or a passport to go into God's house. If I practice properly, they'll give me a scanner, and then I can go in and I'll be accepted by God. That's how people relate to it, right? If I behave right, do the right things, say the right things, I'll get this badge and I'll gain access behind the scenes with where Jesus is and all the angels, and I'll be allowed in, isn't it? You don't get into my party. If that's your attitude, it's like you want people to come in who are carefree, joyous, who love life and being, not someone who's behaving well so they can get access to something that they want. It's like, no, you can come to the party when you love yourself. that's when you come to the party. You're instantly in. Yeah, the veil's lifted instantly. It's like, yeah, it's a commitment to your own being. So it's speaking to someone who thinks like that about vows and commitments. Oh, I've got to behave right to get in, and how to get them to think to just accept yourself. So that's what the vows and commitments are doing. So we know fine well, don't we? We know that we take it on as like a burden. And even no matter what I say, you're going to do that. Psychologically, we're just built in. So we have them, take them as like just guidelines to understand. And whenever that tight mind comes in, oh, I'm not allowed to do that, it's like, I'm misunderstanding. You can do whatever you want. It's your life. There's no one standing over you. It's like, it's like, be free. We know we can't be free. We know that when we're just left to ourselves, it's like, yeah, the ball of thorns. It's like every moment's some kind of painful thought, some kind of painful conception about, oh, I'm not good enough, or what's going to happen in the future. So part of the prep is wearing away this low self-esteem. Does anybody have any questions so far at the moment? Anything coming up? Raymond?
Yeah, thank you for explaining all that. It makes a lot of sense. I think in my experience, I'm always worried about the negative karma I'd accrue if I've broken the vow, and then would it be worse if I hadn't even taken the vow? But I don't know. And the way that I'm understanding it, since you've just explained it, is actually that it would be more valuable to take the vow. And maybe I'm concentrating on this like getting aspect as well, in terms of karma. Yeah, it's just this fear of kind of accruing negative karma.
Yeah,
Really.
I remember this mindset. The mindset that fearful, I'm breaking it, and all this will happen, means no one could ever become enlightened. No way. Traditionally, when you take the tantric vows, you don't even know what they are. Okay? So, and as my Lama said, by the time you've left the temple, you've broken one. It's impossible. You don't even know what they are. Like you learn them after you've taken the empowerment. It's like, oh, and it's like impossible to keep them. Now, if it was that they created negative karma when you broke them, then you're going down. It's like a punishment. It's like your Lama's just punished you with a whole set of things you can't do that just make you feel worse. How's that? What's that got to do with anything? With love? No, it's just it's a misunderstanding of what the vows are. The only way you really break the vows is if you go, I don't want to become enlightened. This is nonsense. I don't care about this anymore. That's it. Like how the vows started, let's say, some of the vows are, I'll need to go over it, but it's stuff like, you're not allowed to stay in the bath for too long. Like along those lines, that some of the monks will go to someone's house and they'll let them have a bath and they'll just stay in the house too long. But it's like, don't do that. And it's like, you can imagine going, oh, right, okay, I won't. And then one time they do it again. And it's like, is that really? God's going, right, you're going to hell. Really? It's just an arbitrary thing to be a monk. It's an arbitrary thing to go into someone's house. It's an arbitrary thing that the culture is, you shouldn't stay in the bath for too long because you're going to be a burden on someone. And it's just simple advice on just common sense behavior. That's all it is. And when you take the vows, you go, I'm an absolute wild, uncivilized yob, like Tom in Downton Abbey, if you've watched it, the chauffeur, and they're trying to learn how to live in the house with all these rich people. Do you think he's going to hell because he decides to pee? I don't know, standing up or whatever it is. It's just like, if you can imagine, like the Lord of the Manor will occasionally go, don't behave like that. It affects people. Like that. And it just depends on whether you want to live there or not. Yeah, this character, this working class character in an upper class environment. If you don't want to live there, you're not going to follow. Of course you don't follow the rules. You're not going to hell. You just can't live in the house that's there. You're not going to hell. You just can't live with the Buddhist monks. Like Buddha's a monk, and it's like, right, this is how I want you to behave in this environment. And if you're not in that environment, it's like, go and party. Does that make sense? If it's a punishment exercise, you're going against your own enlightenment. So it's just a kind of a light-hearted, really like of course we're trying to improve, but it's a light-hearted, like with me, with my friends, it's like, what vows have you broken today? Fuck, I mean, be lucky if I've get one. It's like a vow to be blissful, and it's like, yeah, well, that broke that instantly, isn't it? It's like woke up in the morning, go, oh, it's like, oh well, that's that vow gone. Now, is it helpful for Buddha to say, be happy? Try and do that. Of course. By not doing it, you're in hell. You're in hell. That's the point. And these are trying to bring you back. Samaya.
If you're practicing purification or prostrations, or so to say purification practices, are they contraindicative, as it were? Are they conflicting, or do they maintain a sense of supporting, of discarding negative actions in the past and supporting good actions in relation to the vows or behavior in general?
Right, that's the next section that I wanted to get into. So the classic preparatory practices that I'd like you to do, which you don't have to do them all and then do Vajrayogini. You can still do the preparatory practices as you're learning Vajrayogini. In fact, even if you've learned it, you can still go back and practice them. And for Westerners, as is given in the Kagyu lineage, 10,000 of each. So 10,000 prostrations, 10,000 refuge and bodhicitta prayers, 10,000 Vajrasattva mantras, 10,000 mandala offerings, 10,000 Guru Yoga mantras and practice. And I think we can get into these on Saturdays and things, so you can take your pick which one you want to start with and let me know. So, like, just for myself in the classes I'm doing, to learn some of the Tumo practices and the magical movements, the Lama's like, I want you to do 10,000 7-line prayers. And some people weren't quite sure, and then they kind of, he eased it off into 10,000 Vajraguru mantras, which are a lot shorter. You could do 10,000 in one day probably if you really went for it. But I thought I'm going to do both. So yeah, it's like currently doing it. I'm a devotee, so it's one of my favorite practices, doing the 7-line prayer. And you do 100. It takes about 15 minutes when you get into it. Do 100 7-line prayers. It's beautiful practice. Tuning into the energy and the meanings. And in Tibet, when you've got more time, it's 111,000 of each. 100,000 and 11,000 for mistakes. So, yeah, I don't want to go too much into mistakes again. The mind just will go crazy on trying to do it right. The thing is, we have the intention and we just engage with the practice. And these are clearing away, let's just say, our low self-esteem. Now, has anyone done anything they're not proud of? Yeah, Baron. Yeah, everyone? Yeah. I'll take a guess that Zoe has. Does it make you feel good? Now, imagine that Jesus comes down and says, I absolutely love you. And you just feel this absolute unbelievable love. I totally accept you. Now just let go of it. Bring it up, what you did. Accept you did it, and let go. Until you do that, my son, my daughter, you won't be able to come into my arms fully. Did I ever understand that? You have to go naked to God. You can't go hiding, I don't want to show this, that, I did that. God doesn't give a fuck. God needs you to open up. That's what purification practices. Then it's blissful. It's like, it's confession, but you're not confession to some dodgy guy who's going to bribe you. And like something, it's like, what's it? It's like, oh, Father, I have sinned. And I say, what is it, my child? It's like, oh, I let my boyfriend into my room. And say, oh, what happened next? Oh, he started kissing me. And it's like, oh, but what happened next? And it's like, oh, he put his hand on my leg. It's like, well, what happened next? And he's going, oh, he put his hand under my skirt and started touching me. He's like, well, what happened next? And he's like, my mother came in. He's like, oh, shit. Yeah. That's not confession, but that's not the confession we're going to. We're going to the omniscient consciousness of divine love that forgives us of all sins at all times. Can we forgive ourselves? This is a method to forgive ourselves. That we have faith in the Buddha. And he's gone, this is the method. This is how to do it. Trust me. Let go of your past. But until you look at it and just go, it's okay. You can't let it go. Or can you? Does it still come up? Does it still affect you? Does it still prevent you? Does it still give you low self-esteem? What's your low self-esteem hanging on? It doesn't arise out of nothing. It arises out of causes and conditions. That's karma. Every action has an effect and leaves a mark. Yeah. So we're creating new causes and conditions where we're letting it go. Very beautiful practice. See how that's prep. When we do the prostrations, there's a sadhana that goes with that, as some of you may know. But we combine it with refuge and bodhicitta. When we're doing this prep for Vajrayogini, this is how I'd like you to do it, that when you prostrate, you say the refuge and bodhicitta prayer. So at the same time as prostrating, you're going for refuge and generating bodhicitta. And you want to do it 10,000 times. You should be able to manage one prostration in the same time you say the refuge and bodhicitta prayer. So you do two in one, get it done quicker. But we'll go into them maybe as the weeks to come, go into each practice. Essentially, going for refuge 10,000 times can just be, I go for refuge to Buddha Dharma Sangha, I go for refuge to Buddha Dharma Sangha, I go for refuge to Buddha Dharma Sangha, 10,000 times. Bodhicitta can be as simple as, through the virtues I collect by giving and other perfections, may I become a Buddha for the benefit of all. Through the virtues I collect by giving and other perfections, may I become a Buddha for the benefit of all. But in the prostrations sadhana, then there's a different prayer. It's like understanding Tantra and going for refuge to your own channels, winds and drops, your own nature, and generating bodhicitta on that. And can you see that that's prep? But you're not just saying the words, you're generating the mind. Deeply generating that mind of refuge and bodhicitta. And offering the mandala is one of the ways to accumulate merit as well. When we're doing prostrations, we're purifying negative karma. When we're doing Vajrasattva, we're purifying negative karma. When we're reciting refuge and bodhicitta vows, we're accumulating merit. And when we're doing the mandala offerings, we're accumulating merit. When we do the Guru Yoga mantra, we're accumulating merit, personal power, energy, good karma, however you want to put it. And when we do the mandala, we offer up everything to the Buddhas. Everything beautiful we offer up. Then when we do in Vajrayogini practice, you actually you leave your consciousness, leave your body. You turn round, you go into the lap of the Buddhas, you turn round and you look at your body, you chop it up, stick it in a big bowl, bless it, and offer it up. I think it's also called chod practice, but I've never actually specifically trained in that, but it's part of the Vajrayogini sadhana. You offer your own body. In chod practice, you go to the charnel grounds and you just offer, you want to offer your own body. But when we do the mandala offering, we offer to the Buddha all our enjoyments, all our pleasures, everything. It's yours. 10,000 times we offer the universe as pure and give it. This generates merit in our mind. Letting go of everything. Yeah, we imagine the universe is pure. We're holding it in our hands. We give it. Yeah, we offer our body, speech, and mind. Yeah, this is like in Sufism, becoming a servant of God and meaning it 10,000 times. I give you my body. I give you my body. I offer you all my enjoyments. They're not mine anymore. Yeah. So you've got it. When if you ever practice in such a way that people would do it, they close their eyes when they're doing it externally, when they're training, and they offer their food before they eat it. Close your eyes, and you offer the food to the Buddha. Now, if someone, whilst you've got your eyes closed, people do it, comes in and takes your food. When you open your eyes, you go, great, thank you, you took the offering. If you go, that's mine, then you understand how you haven't done it, and you've just gone through a prayer by words. That mind, that's prep to helping all living beings continuously. That this you no longer. So you need to have trained in Lam Rim to understand that true happiness comes only when you're thinking about others. Which is a big turnaround for us. Although we may say it. Sorry, I've got two thoughts going on there. We understand we have to practice Tantra because we don't believe that. It's as simple as that. We're our main project, aren't we? We don't love ourselves. We're just obsessed by ourselves. That's it. That's one way to put it. Constantly going on about I. In our culture, any feeling that comes up, isn't it? It's like I. Oh, I had this feeling. It's like, what does it mean? It's like, then there's another feeling. What's it mean? Oh, I feel like this about the future. Oh, it's like, how many times? You go to, I feel like this about this person. It's like, so what? That's internally. That's you. How many times can I go through this? It's like, I. And so we're trying to get off that. That's part of the prep of the mandala often. When we're going into the Lamrim training, we're trying to wear down the fact that the reason you're unhappy when someone took the plate of food in front of you, it's not because they took the plate of food. It's because of your I. And let's break it down. The enjoyment you have from your food, just thinking about yourself, is less enjoyable than the mind that feels happy giving the food to someone. When you get off yourself and you give food to someone who's hungry, that's more enjoyable than you thinking of yourself and eating food. At the moment, it doesn't seem like that. And at the moment, if someone takes the food, it won't feel like that because of the I. But that feeling of someone taking my food is suffering, and it's the very I. We've got to keep meditating on that, keep trying to understand it. At the moment, we just simply don't believe it. And you have to keep meditating on how, like, again, if you've got children, it is happier to give your food to your child and eat it yourself. It is. You understand? Yeah. Mothers, they know it from direct experience, that you would be less happy to let your baby go hungry whilst you just ate the food instead. It wouldn't make you happy. Just thinking of yourself, thinking of others is happier than thinking of ourselves. It's the brief moments from the honeymoon part of a relationship. What is it that makes you happy? What is it? You're stopping thinking about yourself for just a few moments. I don't know if this generation that's coming up can, because of the woke. It's so much fear. Yeah, I think, but you probably have to sign a contract now before you can kiss each other, just in case someone says it's all, like, no, they move first. There was an imposition on my feelings, and seriously. So I don't know if there's ever a moment you can just let go and just get off the self and the worries. That's where all the mental pain is coming from. So I'm just can only speak from my generation, that just, you meet someone and then you're off the self. When we see that's, for a lot of us, that's mixed in with the pain of fear of loneliness, and that distorts that pure enjoyment of being with someone and allowing the flower of that energy to change you. It's the beauty of being around it. We are each other. Wherever we go and whoever we meet, a different aspect of ourselves manifests. If we're loose, that Dzogchen's another name for being infinite, isn't it? When you meet someone, you speak to them in a different way than with everybody else. They make you feel a different thing than you've ever felt before in your life. Every single person you meet, if you're sensitive enough. This is like the beautiful flow. That's the enjoyment. It's constant enjoyment rather than holding on to, I'm left wing and I'm like this, and it doesn't matter who I meet, I will not budge. That's pain. Yeah. This is what I mean by I don't want to be a Buddhist. You never want to have a fixed identity. It's like, I can't do that, I'm a Buddhist. You only want to do that when you kind of maneuver yourself out of a situation where you don't want to do something. You can just say, well, I can't do that. It's against Mara. Do you know what I mean? Skillful means use their concepts against them. It's like, yeah, whatever you say. We're nothing. That's what we want to be. That's emptiness. Like, another way to say emptiness is pure potential. Yeah, we can be anything at any moment, at any time, and anything. Yeah. So one moment you can be Vajrayogini, next minute you can be Padmasambhava, next minute you can be Yamantaka. It's like, don't fuck. It's pure wrath energy. Then the next moment you're Tara. Then the next moment you're empty, you're anything, whatever you need to be. There's symbolic aspects of the enlightened nature of consciousness which can manifest as anything. And the other preparatory practice is the Guru Yoga. So when we go into Tantra, then it's all about Guru Yoga. It's the main, in Dzogchen, it's just, that's the main practice with resting is Guru Yoga. Devotion. Devotion to the enlightened state. Devotion to seeing God here, now, not somewhere else. That's what the Guru Yoga is, a devotion to. Seeing it here, now. Yeah. That the enlightened beings who've generated these minds haven't disappeared out of existence. So it's like, where are they? I hear you say. That's, of course, that's the question coming in. Well, where are they? Well, it's your partner. It's your mum. Might be difficult to see that, right? Or maybe there's resistance to that. I actually don't want to see my partner as Vajrayogini or Haruka, because I just want to hold on to the grudge I've got against them. Just all right. So, well, what's the easiest place to start? That'd be a reasonable question. Something that seems it's quite difficult. Does anyone agree to see God here now? Absolutely, in the divine sense. You go, well, what's the easiest place to start? It's not my mum. It's not my dad. It's not my partner. It's not Dave, the shopkeeper. Well, is there anyone that kind of acts like a Buddha that I can see now, who acts like my understanding of what the divine is? And the Buddha's like, yeah, that's the best place to start. Find someone who, in your sense, in your experience, is the closest to what you understand is what is divine. And start there. So that you can overcome your fears, your defense mechanisms, your concepts of wrong or right, and you can start to trust that those enlightened beings are there, and start to relate through them in that being. Where else are you going to start? Like Osho says, nature's too easy. There's no resistance in nature. Yeah, trees aren't going to like bark back at you. They're not going to rub you up. They're not going to rub your ego up. You have to start with human beings. That's where the action's at. It says animals are easy. They're all just like always loving. So that's again prep to tune into that energy. Prepping your mind to then see yourself as God. Yeah, so like one of the practices, you look in the mirror and you see yourself as Vajrayogini. So again, if you've got strong identity to being who you are, you're not going to want to do it. It's just as simple as that. You can't just go from 0 to, right, okay, I'm going to completely identify myself as an enlightened being and not relate to my old story at all. Yeah, I hope you can see that. That's the prep. Does anybody have any questions? Sylvia?
I was wondering, out of the different categories of the prep practices, what one does the 7-line prayer come under? Is that
Guru
like
Yoga.
Guru Yoga? Okay. So is it like an offering when I'm saying it? Like if I'm going to do like a certain amount, do I feel like it's an offering when I'm saying it, or trying to imbibe the guru?
Oh, we can go into the practice. Like there's
okay.
there's a couple of texts. It's like on 7-line prayer. It's got multiple different levels of meaning. So when we're saying it, you can certainly tune into this, and it is an offering.
Okay.
Yeah. So one of the ways we offer our body, speech, and mind to the Buddhas, and one of the ways we offer our speech is by singing sadhanas. It's an offering of the speech. You can tune into that aspect every now and again, that this is I'm making a beautiful offering. Just singing praises to the Buddhas. It's like when you do intensive work, you just sing praises all the time. You're changing your speech into the 7-line prayer. Yeah. So when you're Vajrayogini, you're not going to have internal dialogue speech about what's your favorite Mars bars, or do I like Mars bars or Twix is the best? It's like, what's that song? It's not your speech. It's oh, my mom's Vajrayogini. It's everyone's pure speech. Everything's. Rahima, you've got a question. Wrong button. A question down here. Just so people know, just before
Sorry,
you
I just turned it off.
Yeah, we noticed. Before you ask the question, there is a little reactions button in Zoom, and you can makes a little hand if you want to. If people have questions, they want to queue up. Rima.
I was actually just wondering if you would be able to explain what this 7-line prayer meant.
Yeah, that would be a whole. Really, you could do it like a month-long course on it. It's got multiple different meanings. One of the fascinating ones is that the ordinary meaning is the secret meaning. Yeah. So it's like he's like born spontaneously on a lotus. Now, a lotus is a symbol for the vagina. So he was born from a vagina. That's the secret meaning. So because when you like listening to the prayer, it's like born spontaneously on a lotus. It's like, wow. And it's like on the lake, they say it's like, and he's like 8 years old. But going like 8 years old at that time, it's not like now. I have heard it said, and seriously said, that 8-year-old is the equivalent of 30 now. So I know that like when they were young, 6 years old, they used to put, like kids would be at war, they'd be putting the gunpowder in for I think for the cannons and things on ships. And drummer boys, going to war, like little drummer boys, doing the beat, going to war. We're 12 years old. I know Charles Bukowski, when I read sort of about, he went hitching with his mate at 11. And the way he writes, and like probably more mature than a lot of 28-year-old, 30-year-olds I know. Less on the eye, a bit more loose, independent thought. So 8 years old, so it represents independent thought. So it's like a twilight zone when you're no longer innocent, but you're no longer cynical about the world. So that's one of the meanings of being spontaneously born as an 8-year-old. It means that you're just born in wonder, out of a vagina, like everybody else. And in the land of Odiana, it's like a kind of like this mystical place, but it's actually like I think it's northwest Pakistan now. It's like, it's right in the corner of Afghanistan. It's like a meeting point of many places. And it's a difficult place to live, so it's just like lots of things pass through it and don't stay. So it's a land where you're born from the place where not many things stay. They just arrive and depart. And it kind of sinks into all lands, but it's not really any land on its own. And this is where you're born from. This is where the master's born from. That's where he resides, just in the normal space of mind where nothing can hold on. Things like that. But there's also esoteric meanings as well. Yeah. But kind of like the Virgin Mary. Yeah. Everyone is born from virginity because consciousness can't be polluted. That's what virgin means. It's untouched. Your consciousness is virgin. Or is it not? Is it stained? Right? Has what you done stained it? Or when you go into the spaces, it's just always fresh, unstainable, like the sky. The sky is virgin. So yeah, it's called like twilight language as well. So there's a lot of stuff not to be taken literally, but just indicating things that are difficult to indicate with normal language. Like there isn't actually a third eye. It's symbolic of the fact that you no longer perceive through the senses. You understand everything is nature of mind. And that's how you're seeing things. It's all nature of mind. You're no longer seeing objects through the eye senses. You perceive directly with consciousness. That's the third eye. It's not like you actually have 3 eyes when you see it. Symbolic. Does that make sense? But we will go through it. It's and the meanings will come more deep as you do the prayer. That's part of it as well. Anyone else got any questions? You can ask anything. Saturday morning, what else are you going to do? Aaron.
In the last week, I'd been noticing many times when I'm doing actions, there's this tiny little pause when I'm just start the action, and there's the sense of the magical movements and the different movements we've been doing, like in the same gesture of it, and maybe it feels like a slowing down. Like I notice I have quite a quick pace of doing things, and there's a tension when I initiate an action. But I'd been noticing that there's just been this, maybe it's the baby and the pregnancy. But there's just this like looseness and just ease and gentleness when I start an action or just do something or place something down, and it feels like it's imbibing the spirit of the movements that you've shown us. And I've been noticing it very strongly, like a lot with a lot of actions, and it feels like a different quality of being.
Yeah, it's beautiful when that happens. It's like the whole thing, it's like you're in magical passes. Yeah, all the time. It's like the way you can sit down on the couch. You just like get into the bliss of the body. You just want to get to feel how the body just moves, bliss, just the enjoyment of putting your hand on the table. You know, picking up your coffee cup and just getting into the body, and everything is just enjoyable. You get into the energy body. Yeah, like really, it's just such an enjoyable thing to be. That's what we want. It's that consciousness. And hopefully, if I'm getting what you're saying, just spontaneously, not like an intellectual thing. When you're around people who do it through their mind, I mean, I used to hate it. Really, like people who walk slowly because I'm being conscious. It's like, oh, that kind of rigid and tight way of control, like that controlled sense of being. Whereas we want this to become like a spontaneous, subconscious flow almost, and become aware of what's going on beneath and flowing with it. And the more you do, the more it's when you go into do the dance, it opens the body into new ways of being spontaneous. That's the beauty of the magical moves. And then you wanting to have infinite movement in your body in the dance. Like, so every dance you do, you'll dance in a way you've never danced before. You're like, you just can't believe it. It's like how many different ways you can dance. No, this I know from personal experience, and it's like, wow. It's like you get right to the edge of, you feel your body's still restricted. Something like you want to be able to jump in the air and somersault. Oh, I wish I could, I had that pure athletic body. It's almost once the energy is bursting out more than what the body is capable of following. Like that there. And just more and more. How you sit, but not in a contrived way. That's my hope. Yeah, really. I'd live with someone just like that. I'm going to walk slowly, speak slowly, because that's what being aware is. I'm like, honestly, just fuck off. It's like, I'm pretty sure that little fast guy from Jamaica, what was his name? The guy that did the 100 meters, he did that stupid thing that people imitated. Yeah, their guru, doing their mudra of their guru. What's his name?
Usain Bolt.
Bolt, that's it. You trying to tell me that he wasn't aware? Yeah. Probably the fastest guy on the earth. Although I'm guessing that someone getting chased by a lion runs faster. That he's not aware because he's moving fast. You try to tell me you can't be aware because you're moving, doing activities. You're in big trouble. If you have to, everything has to be slow and measured and controlled. Why? Because you're so afraid of yourself that if you let go, you know you're going to be a nasty little bitch. That's what's stopping you. You know, if you let go, what will come out of your mouth and what you do will be dark. Like, just face the facts. Part of Tantra is you've got to take on your shadow side. It's part of the deal. Yeah, you cannot go to God with shadows. Yeah, you won't have a shadow side. It would just be, this is who I am. Now this is Yamantaka. And now I'm fucking, this is Vajrayogini. And now I'm being very kind and soft, this is Avalokiteshvara. Now I'm protecting a mouse, this is Tara. Yeah, you with me? Now someone is talking utter shit. And I'm just going to give some logic, and this is Manjushri's sword. Whoosh. garbage. Do you know what I mean? All of it. So when you see the tantric symbology, some of it's like skeletons, or when you have like dakini bodies with animals' heads. It's all aspects of our being, which we've got to transform and accept, and we use on the path. Yeah. And your porn habits, you can try and transform it onto the path. Yeah. It's like how you look at it, how you use the energy. But yeah, I say the $1 billion industry that no one watches. Like bigger than Hollywood, but no one watches it. Although it's probably not so good for the kids. Yanchin.
Yeah, no, I was going to ask, I had been looking at a bit of the Sufi dream work in a book that I was reading, and I had been keeping a dream journal. I've had a few dreams lately where I can't open my eyes to the point where I'm like this in the dream, trying to, and I wondered if that might have something to do with, I had been doing the meditation practice on the white bindu, and I was only doing it in short bursts and thinking, that could be helpful. And then when I was looking at the journal and I had realised this dream is coming up quite a lot, I'd kind of interpreted that as maybe you're trying to force something that you're not ready for. But I know it can have lots of interpretations, but I just wondered from that kind of dream yoga aspect if there's something that I'm missing or that I could do differently.
I don't know. I'm not very good at dream sign interpretation. So in that sense, I know much more like, how does it feel for you? What's your intuitive sense of what it was? The different levels of whether it's just a dream or you sense that it's like a vision, like a lucid level, meaningful, very impactful dream. That's a different one. That's very different. That's more, can be much more into our own sense of identity that we have in the awakened state, crossing over into the dream state. Whereas normal dreams, we can have the identity I had when we were 16 and things like that. So what did it feel like to you not being able to open your eyes?
It was a little bit frustrating, but I was still aware of everything I could hear. I knew everybody who was in my dream. It wasn't disturbing in that sense. It was just like, why can I not? I can't open my eyes. And then I had those moments where you wake up and you're not sure if you're actually awake or if you're still having the dream. It was a bit like that. So I think it felt significant because it had happened over a few different nights. And there's something that I should be paying attention to. But when I was writing in my dream journal, the first thought that came up is maybe you should stop that meditation for a while because maybe you're forcing something that you're not quite ready for. So if I take it as that, that'll do me for just now. There's a lot of other meditations that I can do.
Yeah, doesn't sound like anything too bad. Yeah. And then we talk about the third eye is the ability to see without the eyes as well, sometimes the dream stuff can get quite wild, so sometimes it's okay not to be too careful. But if you're putting the intention into dream yoga, then like part of the 6 yogas of Naropa is the dream yoga, which we'll get into as part of the Vajrayogini practice as we go into like the illusory body, and that's generating your body in your sleep consciously and lucid dreaming. Then it gets quite wild. That's great. Yeah. It's really considering how other people, when they when they're starting on the path, they can go to hell a lot in their dreams. They're part of purification. Once the Buddhas feel they've got you, then they can start purifying you without you running away. a bit more. Like it's a safe zone. Like, right, let's push some hell karma into their dreams so they can purify now. Yeah. So it can get wild, right, in your dreams, but that's okay. If you've got as long as you've got protection, and if you get in trouble in a dream, you can go deeply into faith and say the mantra, and you'll be protected. This is from personal experience. Very strong spirit forces. You've got faith, say the mantra, pure concentration, they can't get you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, I love dream work. I'm not very good at interpreting normal signs. The dreams that I've taken as important have been lucid and visionary, and my masters have been there, and I'm pretty conscious. Dream yoga is great fun. Lucid dreaming is one of the highlights of the path. But I think as you go further into dream yoga, then it's like, you start going to the hell realms to purify it and help people in the hell realms, because you've got a dream body. It's like a Buddha body. It's no problem for you to go to hell, is it? Is it? It's not a problem, is it? You're conscious, you're awake, right, let's go to hell and help you. It's part of that bodhicitta training. But there's a big temptation to have fun, isn't it? It's like, try and suck your own dick, right, Bear? Now's my chance, I'm lucid. Or I could help people. It's like, woo! So temptations of desire. Yeah. Conjure up some hot chick. It's like, whoa! I can have sex with someone else, and it's not cheating. Woo! Or you could try and call upon your master and get special teachings in the subtle. Sometimes we get distracted by temptation, isn't it? Any other questions? Okay. So I think we went through briefly all the practices we can do. You can think of one that you'd like to start. 10,000, get your little journal, get your numbers down. But it's important to have some connection with how yogis and yoginis practiced, and that faith that this is going to help us be in that spontaneous place, and that the actual practices themselves are very profound and very enjoyable, and they can be like paths in themselves. So have a sense of which one you really... I didn't go into Vajrasattva, but purification. It's a strong purification practice. When you can decide for yourself if you want to prostrate, or you want to do Vajrasattva, or you want to get merit, you feel like you're a bit depleted in merit. Some of the signs you've got merit is that whatever you wish for, you get it. You ever met people with merit? There's always some prick at school, isn't there? They just, there's if you live in a small place, there's like 4 jobs for the young boys at the local supermarket. They get it like that. Other people, they try and they can't get it. And then whatever comes up, if there's like a celebrity comes, they somehow get an interview with them straight away. They've always got enough money, haven't they? And they always go on good holidays. And whenever they need to stay somewhere, someone lets them, they've got a house for them to stay in. You ever met anyone with merit? They're really annoying. You have to rejoice in them, and then you can start to get that merit rather than be jealous or like, how come they get any partner they want? They've always got a good looking partner. They've always got money. It's like, presume that this is a relatable experience to you. Or maybe you're the one with merit. So merit practices are not to accumulate that, but it's like, I'd like to be able to stop thinking about the future all the time. Spiritual power, no problem. I'd like to be able to understand the Dharma better. You got a lot of merit, suddenly you just start understanding the teachings. You didn't before, and now you do. That's now because you got merit. Yeah, not because you've read more. You could read these books forever and you won't understand them. You just, now they're starting to impact. This is merit. Going, I need merit. This is why I'm going to do these practices, Guru Yoga practices. I need merit. I need good energy. I need good karma. Hakeem.
Do you need an empowerment to do Vajrasattva?
Yes. So, if anyone wants to do Vajrasattva, I'll send you the link for the Vajrasattva empowerment. Rahima.
I was just saying I want to do the empowerment, that's all.
Right, yeah, I think we can blast them up. If anyone is interested, Garchen Rinpoche, he just turned 88. He's a bit younger than Geshe. He's generally regarded as a living Buddha. Most traditions, but it's like, and he's still going. There's a great documentary on him. So if you're interested, I can send you the link. I'll do it now. So, Garchen Rinpoche, he's basically, although still some lamas are against it, he's authorized that online empowerments are valid. And he's put up excuse me. He's put up many He's put up many empowerments online. When we do Vajrayogini empowerment, we'll do it with him online. I've never been given permission to do empowerments. Permission to teach it, Vajrayogini, but not empowerments. I'd be uncomfortable. My Lama's uncomfortable doing empowerment. She puts up his links. She's a lineage holder, but she won't do empowerment. Milarepa didn't do empowerments. I'm trying to find where to share. There we go. You watch it. It's a very beautiful man. So if you don't watch him, he's got his eyes shut like this, and he has to do this like you're in your dream, Yangshin, in your mind. He has to do this to see sometimes, to open his eyes to see, because his body's in so much pain, he can't open his eyes. And you see his tongue's his body's in so much pain from what's happened to him that he has to do that to open his eyes. He looks unspeakably happy. Yeah. That's people going like, it's just like unbelievable how happy he is, but he's totally racked with pain. His body. He got tortured by the Chinese for, I don't know why, but the pain in his eyes is in particular. So he's got lots of empowerments online, and you might just want to ask when to get an empowerment, and I can share it rather than just sitting there and taking them all, because usually with empowerments come commitments and things like this. But at some point it's nice to have quite a lot of the empowerment, just to have the blessing on your mind stream. Rahima?
Before I watch that to take the empowerment, is there anything that you would recommend I do, like wash my body or have offerings or anything like that?
Yeah, if you're going to, when doing empowerment, then, and that's like when we do these classes, it's like Malam says, when you come online, it's like, don't walk about the room, or don't, unless you've got like children or something like that. As much as possible, you want to feel that you're in the presence, like as if you're actually there in the room. You're not eating or drinking, you're just focused, which pretty much everybody here does that. But when you take the empowerment, you want to, as if you're going to the temple and you come with offerings. And we get into the preparation. If you're going right to the beginning, it's like setting up a shrine. And getting your shrine and having offerings. Doing offerings is a way to get merit. So you can do 7 water offerings, or you can put up the actual substances. We can do the actual substances because we've got access to it. The Tibetans didn't. That's why they had water to represent the substances. Yeah, that's the beauty of the mind. It's just, I want to offer to the Buddhas. And it's like the flowers, incense, food, music, everything is like always offering. And you have your shrine, the 3 basics: image of the Buddha representing his body, Dharma text representing his speech, and the stupa representing his mind. The rest is an elaboration from that. Make offerings, purify your body as if you were going to an empowerment. And get it ready and make sure you're not disturbed, and take the empowerment. Now, if you don't know Garchen Rinpoche from anybody, you can just feel that this is an emanation of your root guru giving the empowerment. It's the Sat Guru giving the empowerment. He's just representing for you to give the empowerment. So I'd say you don't then have to take Garchen Rinpoche as your guru. You can have like respect towards him and go, right, he was a vehicle through which I received this empowerment. Yeah. So say like traditionally doing highest yoga tantra, that's when you're into the mandala of the guru. And then you have these commitments of, you don't see the guru, you don't criticize the guru, all the rest of it. We're not doing that. We're spending time and years before we make that commitment. When we're taking it, we're creating the intention to do it stronger in the future. When we take Vajrasattva empowerment, then we'll have to find you a sadhana to then do the practice. With Atisha's lineage, his understanding, as famously said, you Tibetans practice 100 deities and accomplish none. We Indians practice 1 deity and accomplish 100. So it's the understanding that all the deities are one person, in the same way that one actor can act as angry, can act kind, act loving, you can act this, it's all one person with different attributes. And we have to have, when we do Vajrasattva, Vajrasattva is God emanating in a purification aspect. It's the same being. And it's all non-dual and one. Very important. So when we're committing to one, when we do one sadhana, we feel that we're doing all the sadhanas all the time. We have that intention. It's important we understand that we're fulfilling all our commitments. We're never just throwing our commitments away. It's like, so when we're practicing Dzogchen, When we're in a Dzogchen retreat, you don't need to do the long, like the sadhanas. They're being fulfilled by resting in the natural state. It's important, that we understand that we're not throwing them away. We're going to a higher practice. And the meaning of doing the sadhana, the meaning of doing the Sabbath, is to get us to a state of mind. So the Sabbath can never be more important than the state of mind that we practice it for to get. The sadhana and the commitment can never be more important than what we're practicing it for, which is to reach a natural state of consciousness that's free. Very important to understand that they're all non-dual. So if anyone that's want to do any empowerment, and then practice that, then you should have a sadhana that you're going to practice after and have instruction on and know what to practice. So we've had I think everyone here, maybe except for Zoe's, had the Guru Rinpoche empowerment, Padmasambhava, and we've got the sadhana on Spotify. Very short sadhana. There's longer ones you can do. And we'll learn traditionally, but a lot of the Tibetan Buddhists that I come across, or Buddhists, they can't see the forest for the trees. So the sadhana is like an indication, like make offerings. So it's always just got to be like the same offerings. But what Beren said about recognizing how your body's moving in an enjoyable way, that's an offering to the Buddhist. It's just all to do with the intentions, like you're offering dance. That's why when we meet up for zikr, we dance, rather than just say it or say some words. I'm going to offer music dance. We actually dance. We actually offer. We actually engage in sex and offer our orgasm. Yeah, but we're actually offering bliss. So we don't get too rigid in what we mean by sadhana. Sadhana is not the words. They're indicating states of mind. These are the states of mind we need to practice in order to reach the natural state, the ultimate goal of the sadhana. That's the greatest offering, to be ourself. That's what Buddhas want the most, yeah, for you to awaken. Which we talked about right at the start, to be yourself. Join the party. But in the meantime, even if you're at the party, you're so in love with the person who took you to the party, you still want to give them offerings. You might be a bit embarrassed to take it, but you're like, they'll prostrate to you back. If you're lucky in this life, occasionally it happens, I've come across them, you will have someone who is your guru, and he's also your best friend, and sometimes he's your student. And you learn off each other, and you're both gurus together and best friends. It occasionally happens. So it's like friendship. And even in your closest friends, you still want to offer them things, don't you? Do you not? It's like, fuck you. I'm myself now. I don't need to offer you anything. What kind of mind is that? Sometimes people criticize these practices. What's wrong with you? I'm not going to bow down to anyone. It's like, why? I'll bow down to the cat sometimes. It's like, oh, it's so beautiful. You just want to, beanie. What's wrong with you? Crazy, isn't it? Do you not want to make offerings to your friends? Do you not enjoy that? Anyone not enjoy that? Oh, fuck it. No, I'm resting in the natural state. I'm not offering you anything. Some people like that, detached. I'm not even going to offer you a smile. I'm resting in the natural state. Wanker. Anyway, sorry. Smells like ego to me. Yeah. doesn't it? It smells like ego. Bit too high and mighty to make offerings or bow down. Really just a bit embarrassed that someone will see me being lower. My ego can't bear it. Isn't it? It's like Islam, submission. Hardest thing. Submit your ego. No, we want to be on top, don't we? In control. Yeah, isn't it? To be seen, to be bowing down, it's powerful practice. Yeah, if your kid's seeing you bowing, like, doing prostrations, you just kind of want to hide it, isn't it? Anyone have that feeling? Your parents walk in, you're doing prostrations, it's like, look what's happened to my child. It's not the peak parent pride, is it? Seeing them bow down some picture, this 16-year-old red girl. The fuck are they doing? But we can understand. So, oh, we're on 137. It's a good session. So if you want to do a Vajrasattva empowerment, let me know. Send you the link. Watch the Garchen Rinpoche documentary if you haven't seen it already. It's very beautiful. And yeah, have a little think about what you want to get into, if you want to get into one, or if you're just happy doing your practice. But I think it's good to get into the uncommon Nongdro, it's called. Ngondro, I think. Nongdro, that's the better word. The uncommon preliminaries for this, for our traditions and practices. Okay. Let's dedicate our practice, our merit, so that it ripens upon all other living beings, that they may awaken, overcome the sufferings of their anger, jealousies, and other delusions, and find true freedom within themselves, and forever and ever rest in peace. In the name of God, the compassionate, the merciful. Amen. Thank you so much for your time.